All right, guys, we are going to go through your custom 3-scene animations that you have created. I'm excited to see what you guys have done, and let's get going. First thing we're going to look at is, or first thing that I notice here is that a few of you, Alexis, is at 60 frames a second. You want to make sure that's 24 frames a second. Also here, Jasmine, you're at 30 and you want to be at 24. So make sure you guys are fixing that. And then let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to play this here.
A dog's nose is designed to optimize scent detection. When they sniff, they can separate airflow to maximize their ability to pick up scents without disrupting their breathing. The part of a dog's brain dedicated to processing smells is about 40 times larger than that of humans relative to total brain size.
All right, very cool stuff. Okay, let's, I like this. I like the imagery of the dog here. Let's kind of go through the scenes and then I'll give you some feedback on what I would like to see changed, and then you can implement that. And next week we're going to start assembling our reels for the class. So you'll want to make the changes to these and your other projects that you have for your revisions that I've given you, which would be the custom 3-scene animation, the monarch butterfly animation, as well as the hierarchies videos. So this is really cool. This first scene, I really like it. I love the dog's tongue moving. Very neat. Like, it looks really good. I like the dog. When you zoom in here, you can kind of see that it's a little fuzzy along the edges here. So make sure that you turn on that vector consistently rasterize button on your dog specifically, so that when you zoom in, it's not, it'll still remain crisp, because this looks like a illustration that was done in Adobe Illustrator. The other thing that I think would be beneficial is if instead of the arrows just kind of fading in and changing position, I'd love to see you use the path animations that we just learned within the butterfly, the monarch butterfly project. I think that would be much more beneficial here than just the positional and possible rotation animation keyframes here. But the dog sniffing nose, that looks really cool. I like that a lot. And in fact, there's a blink. I see the blinks. Cool, into it.
The part of a dog's brain.
This scene specifically, there's not any animation on scene. So you're going to want to do something to animate this, whether you have text animators here, or if you have, I'd prefer to not see text, but I would rather see some comparison and size in a different way, maybe by like scaling the animation, somehow highlighting this. I think that would make it much stronger, because right now there's just nothing on scene there. And then, I mean, it looks like this is like scaling up and out or blinking, kind of like the transparency animation. I think you could brainstorm this to make it a little bit of a stronger scene. Also, the color here kind of blends too much with the gray, and so maybe you make this black, like this background black, or in fact, the color of the background here, like keep it consistent and keep it purple there. And then, I mean, I would consider this only 2 scenes technically, because of the zooming in of this here. So maybe if you split this into 2 different things, like maybe this goes up and you zoom in, and the lines fade away, and there could be like some other kind of animation that happens with the brains here. And then the only thing I have about the end is that it's like empty here for too long. So you could almost cut this off and then fade out to black. The entire scene, you want to fade out to black, and then also fade the audio out as well. And if you have a chance to re-record your audio, maybe with a better mic if possible, that'd be great. But if not, that's okay. It's not a huge deal. I know a lot of us at home don't have the appropriate equipment, but this is a really good start, Alexis. And I don't think you have too much work to get done on this. And I love the illustration there. It's Very cool. All right, let's look at Felicia.
Darkness is the feminine.
The first thing that I noticed, loud, very loud. So you want to adjust the volume on that. Let me turn this down here.
Darkness.
I'm going to bring that down into here and then actually adjust the volume so that we're not listening to it so loud.
Darkness is the feminine force that breaks us open.
Ah, cool.
Light is the masculine truth that fills what was shattered. And together, they make us whole.
I think this is it's a good start. It should be factual information, and I think this is subjective information. But at this point, it's too far, I think, for you to change all of it. Let me see here.
Darkness.
This is a cool looking scene with
The feminine force that breaks us open.
Desire, intuition, rage. This is cool how it kind of like you show the breaking open, but I think this should be a female. If you're doing the feminine thing, I think this should be a female silhouette, not a male silhouette. I also think there could be some kind of texture in the background here, instead of just all black. And then it's just kind of recycling the scene prior. So I would like to see some kind of difference between
Force that breaks us open. Light is the masculine truth
I do see there's like larger
that fills what was
circles
shattered.
there.
And together,
Here I think what you could do is instead of having them broken and snapping apart, you could have one come from one side and the other come from the other side. And so that they're like just positional keyframes. And then you're like, when they're together,
and together, they make us.
they make us. And you could say they make us, and then the two appear here. And I think they could appear in a different way. It looks like they just automatically show on frame. They are like off on one frame and then on the other frame. So there's no like real transition here. I don't think you have to have the color change happening in there. So I think what you could do is you could, like, these two halves of the body come together in the center. Together, they make us, and then have these two maybe in the center here fade on screen over top of this image. And then they can move apart a little bit. They're a little too far apart right here, especially because there's just way too much negative space. So maybe you, as they're moving over into these positions, you could also scale them so that they're a little bit bigger and fill in the spot a little bit more. And then it just kind of ends very quickly. So you want to have like a nice transition into the end there. So you want to work on that as well. So you've got some work here, but it's interesting effects that you have on there. Let's see here.
Darkness. Darkness
also
is the feminine force.
Do I have two of yours in here? Let me close this.
Darkness.
Oops.
Is the feminine force that breaks us open.
One is just the audio here, and the other is, let me see. Oh, no. That's why. It just created a composition there. Don't worry about that. So, yeah, take those and make those changes. Let's see the next one here. Let me delete this. Drop that down. I could probably delete this as well. Jordan's.
Many hummingbirds breed in the U.S. and Canada during summer and
Awesome.
migrate all the way down to Mexico for the winter. They're able to hover in the air by beating their wings upwards of 80 times per second and can even fly backwards and upside down.
Very cool, Jordan. I like it a lot. I think that this is really, I like that you stuck with the, sticking with the format of the first one helps a lot. The wing flapping of this, great job. Adding the motion blur, and not only that, but the speed of the wings is very effective because the speed of a hummingbird's wings would be very hard to see normally. I think that on the design, the only thing I think would be nicer is if you take this beak and move it just down a little bit here. So maybe it's pointing more like this at this angle rather than up so high, because this appears to look a little bit more like a stinger. You could also maybe add the other thing, you don't want to have an Adobe stock image here, so you're going to want to find an actual vector file for this one. This looks really cool. I very much enjoy the upside down one. That happens very funny. Very effective with the way that they actually move. You paid attention to how hummingbirds actually move in real life, so great job on that. The only thing I would do is fade out the audio. Yeah, good job, Jordan. All right, Alex, let's go here.
The Galapagos
Sorry about
penguin
my dog squeaking the toy.
is the only penguin found north of the equator. Due to climate change, pollution, and predation, their population is currently endangered. The primary danger to their population is the weather phenomena El Niño,
I
which
love
brings
that.
warmer temperatures that disrupts the food availability of the penguins.
Very good, Alex. Very, very good. Here, let's go ahead and go through these scenes one at a time. I specifically very much like the animation where you talk about the winds affecting the temperature, and like you change the background on there. Very effective. Like the use of the trim paths here on this, and then the little penguins moving across. That's really cool. Let's
The
look here.
Galapagos penguin is the only penguin found north of the equator.
I like that you have these little penguins too that are like different. I feel like maybe we should do something to make this one a little bit more stand out than just the like maybe a color change or something. I think would be beneficial here, or making these ones all a different color. But the background, maybe you update the background because everything is very blue. Not that that's a horrible thing, but it all kind of melts together and looks very flat because of that. So maybe you can have like a gradient go through, like one big gradient that goes through the United States. So maybe some like kind of like icy colors here to like some kind of green through all of the different continents down to like this icy color there. And then maybe updating the colors on the penguins here so they look a little bit different. And then these little circles, you could probably scale them in. I see you've scaled them all in. I think that you could scale them in. You probably could do like, instead of these little circles here, it might look cool if you have like some kind of shape that makes it look like it's magnifying out from these little sections, and then offset the scales on this so that it the scaling of each one of these, so that maybe these guys scale in first and then this guy scales in last. And then you want to update like maybe the equator line, like maybe you have because the equator line is kind of curved here. I understand what you're going for, but maybe we could do like a curved surface for the actual Earth. Or if you're using the other type of map that kind of shows a curved surface, but if not, just draw the equator line flat. Maybe make the color a little bit different than this arrow so that we're looking at this differently, and then maybe have the name equator, like the word equator, north-south, or some kind of like directional lines on here for just the sake. Not that we don't know what direction is north and south, but just, you know, maybe there's like north, south. Oh, I'm so sorry, my dog threw something on the thing. But like maybe there's an N, an S, an east, and a W, an E and a W like on there. No, Millie, down. No, down. Down. Sorry, guys. And I think that would be cool too. Maybe making the equator line like a dark blue so it kind of fits in more with the background if you do keep it all blue. And then it could have the word equator on there, like pop in with your text animators. So I think that would be neat. This scene is good. I like that. I like this scene as well. And I love how they kind of all just start moving off, and you use this kind of like masking technique to move these little guys on here. Very cool stuff. Very, very cool. Faded the music. It's all very good. Really good job, Alex. All right. Next here we have Emma. Let me see. All right. Ooh.
Yosemite offers unique lodging options.
Very into that.
Ranging from historic hotels to cozy, cabin-style accommodations. Staying inside the park gives visitors quick access to trails, viewpoints, and iconic landmarks. Yosemite offers ranger-led tours, photography excursions, and bus tours to explore the park's most famous sites.
I love it. Very, very cool. Emma had asked me if she was allowed to use things off the Adobe stock website, and absolutely you guys can use some. I like that. The biggest thing here that Emma did correctly is that she mixed that with like the ones that are created on the stock website with ones that she created herself. And I very much enjoy that because it shows a little bit of her in here as well. I think that if we're looking here, let's go ahead and see. Let me play this again.
Cozy cabins.
If you have a chance to re-record it on a better mic, try it. But if not, like I said, not a big deal. This is cool. This is a very, very cool scene. I like it a lot. I think what you could do is add a little texture here to the wood, if possible. Maybe you get a wood texture and you can use like alpha channels or blend modes to blend it into the actual like pieces of wood. I think that would be really cool. But I'd like to see a little bit of differentiation. Maybe you have like a trim around the door instead of just like the lines like right here, because I see that you've created the door separately. I love it. I love the actual animation there. I just think that would add a little bit more, make it a little more cohesive. This is great.
An iconic landmark.
Good job on all the easing on your animation. I think that you could utilize the masking technique to transition from this scene to the next instead of just doing a position change, wiping the screen to the sides. You could do like the animation of the circle from like the monarch butterfly. I think that would be really cool.
Yosemite offers ranger-led tours.
Very, very awesome on these. Love it. Love the light, like the bus tours with the lights on there.
Most famous sites.
Very, very impressed. Really, really good job on this, Emma. I can see all the work that you put into it. Good job. Very good job. Minimal changes there. All right, Colette, let's watch yours.
There are various jellyfish in the ocean. The moon jellyfish is a pale jellyfish that is mostly translucent, and its sting is harmless. The sea nettle is a long jellyfish that can be identified by its many tentacles. It has a little bit of a sharpness. The cannonball jellyfish is a thicker and more opaque jellyfish that has tiny arms rather than tentacles. They don't sting, but watch out for their toxic mucus.
Very cool. I love the background. I like how you created, like you use the gradients and shapes and some masking to create like the water. Very creative stuff. I would like to see, let's see here, the audio is a little bit funny as well, so you might want to turn the audio down. It's a little bit too high. And then what I would also do is see if you can re-record it if possible. If not, like I said, not a big deal if you guys can't re-record. Let's go ahead and watch this. I think this is really cool. Look at that. It's very neat. These, with the tentacles, I think what you could do is path animations, right? You could have you could use a stroke, like just a single line using the pen tool in After Effects and just put a stroke on it and then just kind of move the, you can move the path, animate the path of each one of the tentacles. I think that would be really cool. And then you can almost have like this, you can change like the stroke width and stuff and mess around with the stroke settings of the line to get kind of like this effect on here. I think it would be really cool. This part here is neat. The only thing is that I see this little area right here when it's moving. It kind of hides the illusion of this right there. So what you could do is if you put a mask around this, and you could feather the mask so that it feathers this area so it looks like it kind of fades down in. And that way when you're animating it, like the mask could be like linked to this layer here, and that way when you're animating it, it'll move with this and just kind of hide that little spot, that little hard sharp edge right there.
The cannonball jellyfish is a thicker and more opaque jellyfish that has tiny arms.
But this is very cool. Really good job. Really good work overall. Impressed, Colette. All right, Isabella, let's go here. Ooh, the little stars.
The solar system that we reside in is the Milky Way galaxy. But this
Nice.
is only one of the many billions that exist in our universe. Our solar system consists of 8 planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. All in order of distance from the Sun, our one star we all revolve around.
Ooh.
It is not only composed of planets, as it also includes more than 400 moons, asteroids, comets, various space gases, and dust.
Cool. I love it. I love it. I think this is really cool. I like the consistency of the background. I think that it makes each one of your scenes like even stronger. Let's go ahead. I love this scene. I think that's really cool. I'm obsessed with this scene as well. When it pulls out here, what you could do is you could animate these. I think what's going on is you have the center, maybe the anchor point in the center of the composition, which you could do, or an alternate idea is that you can take these rings and use them as paths for the planets to rotate around. So animating along a path, right? I think that would be really cool here because what happens is, let's see, this, like this one right here, this, the planet kind of gets off center off the line there. Earth isn't aligned. Over here, Saturn isn't quite aligned with the circles. And I think that would just be a little detail on there that would make it even stronger. This is a really cool scene as well. The only thing that I have a hard time with is these are slightly transparent, all of them. And so they need to stand out from the background a little bit more. So maybe you make them a little bit lighter. You could add like some kind of different layer over top that creates like that lighter look. And then maybe make these, make the gases a little bit, or the dust a little brighter, because everything just kind of fades into the background right now. And I think this is really cool, the stuff that you have on here. So I'd love to see it really stand out and shine. But this is really awesome, Isabella. I'm very much into this a lot. Really good job. Cool background too. If you could get some of these stars, I don't know how you duplicated the stars, but if you could make a few of them, just kind of slowly animate and wiggle a little bit, I think that would be really neat as well. Down. I'm so sorry. It's her playtime right now. No, Millie, down. Millie, stay. Down. Stay. She's just so sad that I'm making her hang out here while I grade your guys' stuff. All right, let's go here.
Starfish have hundreds of tiny tube feet under each arm
cool.
that help them move. When they feel threatened, they can drop an arm to distract a predator. Both parts survive. The starfish grows a new arm, and the shed arm can grow into a new starfish.
All right, really, really cool there. Let's see here. Okay, Gigi, this is really cool. I think that the overall, what you need is a little bit of breathing room in between each scene so that when you transition to the next scene, it's more of a smoother transition. Because right now, everything kind of moves too quickly. So I would just kind of slow everything down a little bit. You need to add a little bit more time at the end. With a little bit of the music playing, and then fade your scene out, and then also fade the audio out. Here, this is really cool.
Starfish
this first
have
scene.
hundreds of tiny tube feet under each
We don't get to
arm
see this long enough, and I really like that in particular.
that
So
help them move.
I think
When they
that's
feel
cool.
threatened, they can drop an arm.
I like that you have the shark in the background and that the arm drops when they feel threatened. The only thing I would do maybe is to make this a little bit bigger so it matches up on here a little bit more, and see if you can somehow, maybe you can duplicate the actual starfish and animate one going this way and one going this way, and then mask off the leg part. You could draw one mask around, and then you can invert the mask. There's like a little toggle switch under the mask on the layer that says invert the mask, and you can invert the mask that way. And then you won't have that little separation there, and it'll look more seamless of a
Arm to
break.
distract a predator. Both parts survive. The starfish
Yeah, just that, and then you need to drop the audio levels because the levels are really, really high. I'd like to see a little bit of detail here on the starfish, and then maybe if you give these little starfish a little bit of volume to them, so it doesn't look like you're just flattening it in like fake three-dimensional space. I think that would be really cool. In fact, Illustrator helps you do like 360 turns if you're using the beta version, I think, of Adobe Illustrator right now, and so that's really cool. If you look that up on YouTube, you can see little tutorials on how to do that. But really good stuff, Gigi. Good start. All right, let's look at George's.
Nuclear energy is an incredible feat of technology, bringing the power of the atom into your homes. Millions of people use this zero-carbon emissions energy for their families year-round. As the demand for energy grows around the globe, our need for clean, reliable energy grows as well. A nuclear plant can run night and day for years, generating more energy than any other method. With the advancements of technology, nuclear energy is cleaner and safer than ever, being an invaluable tool in our fight for a sustainable, low-carbon future.
Very cool stuff. Sorry, Tanner. George is how it downloads the thing, but Tanner is how I'll address you. I apologize about that. This is cool. I love the information that you're giving here. I think that the background could have like some detail in it, right? Like give the sky a little bit of detail, or maybe in the background you see a silhouette of the neighborhood, and you see, you know, it doesn't have to be very detailed. It just has to be silhouette of different houses or something like that. Maybe some trees in the background. And then this is really cool. I think what would be more beneficial is if you take like a blue solid layer over this and maybe change the overlay mode. So like change the mode of the actual layer so that it's either like overlay or screen or something like that to give it like a neat effect, almost like it's nighttime. And then you could fade that screen. You could animate the opacity of that layer to change it into night instead of changing it down to black, because it like loses all that detail that you have there. And then finally, this part right here is it's just black and with these for a little while. So maybe you can bring in these icons a little bit quicker and have them animate somehow, because right now it's just like showing up. It's like off on one frame and on the other frame. And you don't want to do that. You really want to try and avoid that as much as you can, unless it really benefits from that technique, like that on-off looking style. I think that you could add a little bit more onto the scene to make it a little bit more interesting, and just an overall like background in all of these scenes. I think that looked really cool. But really good start on that, Tanner. All right. Joseph's?
Water vapor rises into the atmosphere.
Let me see, Joe. Student. Let's go ahead and play it. Joe. Yeah. I don't know why I said Joseph.
Water vapor rises into the atmosphere and then gathers into fluffy white clouds. When colder air moves through, the molecules begin bonding tightly and crystallize into tiny snowflakes. Once the flakes get heavy enough, they fall from the sky and create the snow we see on the ground.
I love it. This is really cool. I love, like, it's such a simple thing, but I think it's really, like, as far as like the information, but I think it's awesome. I really feel like, Joe, you could benefit from the trim paths here instead of necessarily the water droplets. Like maybe they could be water molecules, right? Or something else, because the only thing that looks a little funny here is the fact that these are shaped like droplets, but they're moving upwards, which kind of is a little bit odd because of the shape, and because we know that with gravity it would fall down. So I think maybe what you could do for the water vapor is you could do more of these little lines and they're going up, and you could use the trim paths to alternate on those, like have multiple of them, and then just change the timing so that it looks really cool. And then this part right here, you could maybe the water vapors come up and create that water droplet. But this is really cool too. You could easily use the trim paths to kind of create like this wind. Maybe it goes across the actual, maybe it goes, oh, why did it do that? Maybe it goes across the scene. Why does it keep doing that when I keep trying to, maybe I closed it out. I hit the wrong button, that's why. Like maybe it's going like this, right? The wind, the lines that you can have, they're just kind of moving, and you can use the trim path to kind of, and it doesn't have to go all the way across. Like maybe they are, you make the line shorter using the percentages on the trim path, and then just animate the offset of it so it looks like it's just following along a path, right? Kind of like we did with the 3-scene monarch butterfly one. This is really cool here. Also, you could use that trim paths. Like you can get really far just using trim paths. I think you should vary the snowflakes from just the little circles to maybe some snowflake shapes. You could get those on Adobe Stock too if you need to, or if you know how to draw a snowflake using, there is like radial symmetry inside of Illustrator that you could use that I think would be really cool. You could customize your own little snowflake, but this is really good. I like it a lot. Really good job, Joe. All right, Brian. I like how it's starting off with like a Gaussian blur on it.
Stoicism is a philosophy founded by Zeno of
Texture looks great.
Around 300 BCE in Athens, Greece. This philosophy's goal is to achieve self-discipline, rationality, and equanimity by focusing on what is within our control while accepting external events as out of our control. Practicing Stoicism can transform your life by helping you develop inner strength, emotional resilience, and a clearer perspective on what truly matters.
I like it. I think that this is really good. I remember you writing me about the concept, and so I was excited to see this in action, Brian. Really good stuff. I think overall the audio needs to be turned down a handful of decibels so it's not like just really super loud. But really good recording of the audio. I really like this. I love the texture on here. I think that you could even add like drop shadows onto there's like a drop shadow effect that you could add onto the roofs and change the angle of it. There'll be like a little circle with a dial that kind of goes around it, and you can change the angle here so that it shows, and you can stack those too, right? So you can add another one and have an alternate angle that comes down here, and it'll kind of give like that illusion that the roof has an angle to it. I would also maybe the texture here to make it match a little bit more of the scene. You could just drop the transparency a little bit so it blends a little bit more into the rest of the image, and then add like a texture onto the roof if you can. And I think that because this stone bust would be really cool in like a stony texture or something if you can find that.
BCE.
Or like some kind of grayish.
This philosophy.
Right here, and then also right here before you switch scenes, it's just set on this a little bit too long. So if you can find a way to like either introduce the animations quicker or to like fill the screen with something else so that it's not just sitting on a stagnant scene. You want to remember we're doing animation. This is for the entire class to know. So you guys want to make sure there's something moving on screen at all times. So whether it's just a subtle movement or like larger movements, it just needs to be something moving. That's not just for you, Brian, that's for everyone to know. So, but other than that, really good stuff. Cool job. I like the topic on this. So you guys are doing good. All right, Jasmine, let's go ahead and see this.
Green grapes are harvested at peak ripeness, making them one of the freshest fruits to grow in warm climates. Their skins are thin, meaning the farmer has to handpick them from the vineyard to market. Many are dried up to become raisins, giving the fruit a second life as a nutrient-dense snack.
Really cool, Jasmine. Let's go ahead and overall, I think the audio could be dropped down. This is neat how I think the clouds could be slowly moving across the, like maybe the sun is rotating and the clouds, instead of them all being on one single layer and moving in, they could each be on their separate layer and kind of moving past the sky very slowly, but across the sky like in separate times, or like, so it looks like they're all kind of moving across and offset them so they all don't look like they have the same animation. And I think you could do the same with the grapes too. Right now they all fade onto screen. Maybe you could fade them all on separately here so that it doesn't all look too similar. Let me see here. This one I feel like you could also do something to this scene so it doesn't look so stagnant either, other than just like the rotating star. I think the sail, maybe you could put like they're putting it into a bag or something like that. I think that with the grapes, it looks like it's been used with a repeater, which isn't terrible, but there needs to be a little bit of variation there, and making sure maybe you have a couple illustrations, couple different ones of a couple different bunches, and then you can put those in there, and they kind of look a little bit fuzzy, so you might want to make sure you turn that continuously rasterized. This is the only other thing I would change here. So it looks like when these are falling out of the box, you want them to fall right away when this box tips, right? Because we wouldn't tip a box over and then 2 seconds later the contents of that box fall out. So you want to make sure that this is like, as that box turns all the way, those are already rolling onto the ground. Maybe you have each one of these raisins like coming out separate. I think you could do like a little bit of an animation on that with rotation and positional keyframes that would benefit that. But they should all be different and offset a little bit, so it looks like they're like kind of rolling out of the box, right? And then what you could do is you can mask like an area here so that it looks like they're coming out of the actual box and not behind the box, because that's what it looks like right there. Other than that, really good job. I think this your name and stuff could be on screen a few more seconds, so I would extend the end theirs so that we could read your information and then fade out the audio as well. And then finally make sure that it's in 24 frames a second, not 30. All right, Haley.
Fireflies, also known
Ooh.
as lightning bugs, are beetles that can produce light.
I like this little firefly. Very cool.
Fireflies, also known as lightning bugs, are beetles that can produce light to send messages to each other. They usually appear between late spring and summer nights when the weather is humid. People often catch fireflies to view in jars or containers, but should release them after an hour in order to keep them alive.
Really, really cool, Haley. I love this. Absolutely love it. First of all, really cool design on this firefly. The color palette specifically really does it justice. It really stands out compared to like the dark black background, but also like fits in with the wings. And then this really cool, vibrant kind of coral color along with this, I don't know, the color palette. It just really works together. It looks really cool. This is really cool how you zoomed in, keeping with the theme of the monarch butterfly. This is awesome. I would add some more ripples to the pool. And then the reflection of the moon, what I would do is maybe change the transparency and maybe make the color a little bit bluer so it reads more as a reflection of the actual moon instead of like some kind of bright spot in the water. I think you could do that and that would make it like, that would sell it so much more. Maybe you just change the, you could try changing the blend mode of this reflection right there so that it looks like it blends into here a little bit better. Maybe using like an overlay or something, but it get almost be like lighter, but it needs to be kind of like a blue tint on here. But this is really cool. You could add some detail into the moon if you have a little time. This is great too. I like this a lot. I think that maybe in the background you could have some silhouettes of other flowers so it makes it maybe a dark green or something so it makes it just look a little bit more full. But really cool work on this, Haley. Impressed with it in the beginning. All right, Thomas, let's move forward.
Green sea turtles undertake one of the most extraordinary migrations.
Cool little sea turtle.
Traveling thousands of miles between their feeding grounds and nesting beaches. Guided by Earth's magnetic field and ocean currents, they navigate across vast oceans with remarkable precision. After years at sea, females return to the very same beach where they hatch to lay their eggs, continuing the cycle of life.
Cool. I think that this is a really strong start, Thomas. Let's go ahead and look here. It would be cool if maybe the turtle was revealing like a like as it scoots across the sand, maybe the sand is being rustled up here. So maybe you're revealing something using masking, like maybe like a texture on the sand where it shows like where the turtle has gone, like a trail. This is cool. I think that the changing of the color here isn't necessary. I think that, I don't know if this is an accident or something, but and then you can maybe add some things over top of the turtle to make it also look like it's swimming through there. I think right now compared to the like flapping of the turtle's like fins or you know, like appendages here, it looks like it's going too fast, so maybe slow down the animation of the background here and these lines. But I think you could add something over the top and maybe a shape layer that has some kind of warp on it, like a wave warp, where you can make a very subtle wave and then change the transparency so it goes over top of the turtle and it makes it look like even more like it's underwater. I think that would be really cool. And then here as well, I think that maybe you could have the water make it look like it's like rushing up on shore a little bit. Or what I would do is I would just show the turtle in the sand, maybe moving its little fins and digging and laying eggs or like protecting a pile of eggs. I think that would be a stronger scene for here considering what you're talking about. Other than that, it's a really good start and this is really cool. Great information too. All right, Hannah, let's look at this.
The anglerfish is a deep-sea critter whose dangling light appendage is called the esca.
Cool.
The lure is designed to attract prey. In the dark, the angler waits for prey. Once drawn in close enough, he strikes.
Nice. Cool. Really cool. I like the sound effects that you guys are adding in here too. I think that it's, it just adds to your animations. I love I love the animal ones in particular, really just are fun. This is really cool. This movement of the
deep sea critter, whose dangling light appendage is called the esca.
The movement of the seaweed stops. I think you should continue it all the way through. This is really cool. What I would do is I would make these fish much darker so that they fall into the background more. You can tell that they're there, but they're in the background, and that'll make this guy stand out a lot more too. In fact, it's a female, not a male. The males are very small and they attach to the females. Just like a side note for you guys so that you know, I know a bit about anglerfish, and the males will attach to the female, and the females pretty much just use them to mate whenever they're ready to. The males are essentially disposable to them.
The lure is designed to attract prey.
This is really cool.
In the dark, the angler waits for prey.
I like that.
Once drawn in close enough, he strikes.
He brings that in. You could show him, maybe right here, you could show him kind of luring in that fish a little bit more. And then when he strikes, make it like a really fast strike, right? Because we know that it wouldn't be a slow strike. You want it to be like quick, and then give it a little bit of time after he eats it. Maybe he settles back into the center here. And then you have the movement over to your name here. And if you want, I think that if you feather the edge of this, if you want to slide it over there, animate it like the position sliding over, you should feather this edge so it's not such a hard edge there. But really good start on this. I like it a lot. All right, finally, MJ, let's watch this.
The Conjuring was actually based off of an actual reported event that was made in the 1900s. The Warrens, as well as the parents' family, signed off on the first Conjuring movie made. The Warrens began their research in 1952 and later opened a museum in the 1980s of their collection of haunted objects.
Cool. I think that the really good information. I like that you used The Conjuring and then told us like the true... like some facts behind it. I think that's really cool. Right here, the mouth, you want to make sure that that's not still on screen when you take that off. Maybe you have this fading to the next scene here, or using that transition circle.
Was actually based off of an...
I think that the script could use a little bit of work. There's, you don't have to say actually twice. You don't have to say it at all. It doesn't have to be in there. You could just say The Conjuring is based off of a true event or whatever, you need to say.
The Conjuring...
And there's just like a timing, like a pacing to the way that the script is read. I think what you could do is you could read it, do a couple different reads, find one that sounds a little bit better, take time reading it. You can, and figure out the pacing of it, say The Conjuring was based on a true events that happened to the Warrens back in 1970 something or like that. And then the next scene you'll say it again, like read it a couple different ways and see one that fits a little bit better, because right now there's just kind of, it's the breaths that you're taking when reading the script are in kind of odd spots, and so it's a little bit noticeable. This is kind of cool effect to add on here to make them look like, I understand what you're doing here, making it look old school. You could add a noise, add a layer, like a regular adjustment layer, and then you could add a noise filter on top of that, and then blend that in with this, and I think it would look really cool. And because I see like this TV filter that you have on here,
the Warrens began.
You could almost make it bigger or more pronounced on here as well. This scene just kind of ends, right? You need to have your name at the end of it here. There needs to be music in this as well.
Orange began their research in 1952 and later opened a museum in the 1980s of their.
And I wouldn't really have that flashing, like maybe show different icons with different things that are in their museum, or like the location of their museum on a map or something like that. I don't think, I see what this is. It's like Annabelle, but like the flashing of it just doesn't really fit. The background's interesting. It's like, I know that you're using like a noise thing here as well, but I think that in which you could keep, but I would also like add, there should be a little bit more to this. You need, again, the music. I would drop down the decibels of the entire thing because it's slightly loud, and then you want to kind of pace it out a little bit differently so that it's a nice pace all the way through. It feels very rushed. Other than that, you guys have all done a really good job on the beginning of this. I think that next week what you should do is work on making these adjustments, because then the next week after that, we're done with class and your reels are going to be due. So all next week is going to be a week of working on revisions, okay? I'll post that. I'm going to post that tomorrow. Right now I'm going to post this and let you guys know that there has been... that I've given you guys feedback here on YouTube, and that way you can look at this and like get an idea of what you need to do. If you guys have any questions, of course, reach out to me, but I'm excited to see the revisions on this and excited to see your work. So hope you guys have a good evening.